It feels good to not have bottled water for a couple days, then finally get bottled water and just rejuvenate. Why does my mouth taste like soap? Did I eat soap? I don't think I ate soap. Normally I would be aware of such a thing. Anyways, ladies and gents, welcome to Phoenix Wright. Well, we did things. It's kind of weird to talk about. But we did a lot of things. We found out Pearl was indirectly involved in the murder. We found out that Maya is probably a suspect now. And, yeah, that's not even half. We found out a lot last episode. In this episode, I think it's trial time? Yep, it's trial time. Let's get into it. Gotta get this thumbnail up. February 10th, 9:39 a.m. District Court Defendant Lobby number 1. What did I name the thing? Oh yeah, I named it like Yudi. Like Yeti, but with a million eyes and a U. I'm a creative boy. And I didn't really know what to do for this one, so I just made it the judge. And I haven't done the judge yet, so it works. Good morning. Oh, are you by yourself? Morning, Pearls. Mr. Nick, please tell me what's going to happen to Mrs. Maya. I'm sorry, we don't know yet. The investigation is still going on, so I wasn't allowed in the inner temple. Oh, I see. So is Sister Iris still trying to remove those trick locks in the training hall? No, she's the defendant in this case, so she can't be at the inner temple. She's required to be here in the court. Then how come she's not here in the defendant's lobby? I have to admit, that is kind of strange. If you're looking for Iris, she's at the prosecutor's lobby? Sure, I could be Gumshoe. I wasn't Gumshoe. Edgeworth! What's Iris doing over there? She's going over today's trial testimony with the prosecutor as we speak. Today's testimony? You heard me. Iris is going to be testifying as a witness for the prosecution. Wait, what? The prosecution is squeezing her for a confession. Or so I heard. Franziska von Karma, what are you up to? I thought we determined in the last episode that it was not Franziska von Karma, but was in fact going to be Godot. I know what you're thinking, but Franziska isn't going to be the prosecutor today. What? Then who is? Who else would it be but Godot? Godot? Franziska is engaged in some important work at the Sacred Cavern. Oh, Franziska's trying to get Maya out. The Sacred Cavern? Oh, you don't mean that she's... Exactly. She has been out there all night trying to remove those trick locks. Franziska! With the head nun's assistance, naturally. We estimate that the last of the locks should be taken care of in about 3 hours. I hope everything continues to go smoothly as we receive some good news. Yeah, thanks, Edgeworth. Prosecutor Godot intends to nail this case shut. Be prepared to fight like there's no tomorrow. You don't have to tell me that. Touché. I can already see it in your eyes. I can see it in your eyes. You're not the same fever-ridden, frantic maniac you were yesterday. It's strange. On the way here, I decided that today would be the end of all this. I almost immediately after I made that decision, I felt myself getting stronger. Interesting. Maybe you've passed on your cold to someone else. Literally. And with that, I leave the rest in your capable hands, partner. Thanks. I still don't have the answers for most of the riddles plaguing this case. The circumstances around the murder of Eloise Diaxum, Misty Faye. The impossible flight Larry claims to have seen. And what that woman is really after. I will solve them all and bring this whole tragedy to an end. February 10th, 10 a.m., District Court, Room number 7. Court is now in session for the trial of Iris. Iris? Oh, jeez, I'm so stupid. Also, why am I on this trial? I know I was the same judge as yesterday because I'm secretly all of the judges in this here courthouse. But why did I have to dress up like this today? I'm so wacky. Your Honor? What are you... Who? Me? Well, my little brother came to visit me in my chambers earlier this morning. All of a sudden, in the blink of the eye, he developed a scorching fever and fainted. Wait, so they're related? Therefore, I'll be standing in for him. I see. Your Honor, so they're brothers? That explains a lot. My poor brother. He looked a bit pale. Not to mention sad that he couldn't be here. Phoenix never did meet that judge. It is impossible to predict what the future has in store for us. Any of us. This is precisely why people feel the need to judge the past. And we of the court have been charged with the solemn duty of passing such judgment. Well said, Mr. Godot. I understand exactly what you said. At least up until the end, anyway. Now then, Mr. Godot, please proceed with your opening statement. Humans are fragile, fickle beings. Our hearts change with the shifting of the tides. There is only one thing that remains a constant in this crazy world of ours. Coffee. The bitter darkness that lies at the bottom of this mug. Are you claiming that coffee is the only constant in the universe? I would say it's death, Godot. Death is the only constant. So you mean... forget it. What do you mean? During yesterday's trial, the accused refused to admit her role in the crime. But today she has had a change of heart. Sister Iris of Hazakura Temple has a confession to make. Confession? The defendant? Iris, what is she doing? Why didn't she discuss this with me first? Very well. This court will now hear the defendant's confession. Upon meeting a beautiful lady, always ask for her name and profession. That's one of my rules.
My name is Iris. I am but a simple nun undergoing training at Hazakura Temple.
Witness, is there something you want to confess to?
Yes, but first I want to apologize to Mr. Wright. I can't continue lying to everyone anymore.
It's all right. What is it?
Mr. Wright, I have to admit that I did play a part in this terrible incident.
Are you actually confessing? Are you saying that you were the one who killed Eloise Diaxon?
No, I'm not, Your Honor. But I dealt with the cover-up after the murder took place. After her spirit left, I took the lifeless shell of Mystic Eloise and carried it to the Hazakura Temple courtyard, where I desecrated it.
So she is the one who stabbed her. But why? What? Order in the court! Order! Witness, are you saying that you were an accomplice to the murder?
Yes, that is correct.
What? This is getting weirder and weirder. 3 minutes in court, and I'm already covered in a cold sweat. Everyone on the planet is an accomplice to something. It just happens to be that in this case, it's murder. Isn't that right, Mr. Trite? That you do. So is this the confession they were conferring about? It pains me to say this, but it looks like Iris's testimony was all a lie. That discredits a lot of what Edgeworth accomplished yesterday, too. Now then, little lady, if you don't mind, I've got a question for you. Whose crime were you trying to cover up by your actions? Iris was covering for someone? No, I'm definitely up a creek without a paddle. Or a life jacket.
I've been at Hazakura Temple since I was a little girl. Hazakura Temple is run by one of the branch families of the Grain tradition. One of our missions is to protect the main family.
I'm sorry, but the main family?
Yes, and that's why I would dirty myself if need be, to protect her. The daughter of the master of the Korean channeling technique, Mystic Maya Fey.
Oh fuck, she just threw Maya under the bus. Huh? Wake up and smell the coffee, Trite. She's naming Maya! Order in the court! So, not only did you witness the murder, You know the name of the murderer.
I'm terribly sorry, but it's true.
But we know if it was Maya, your sister was possessing her.
I saw her commit the crime with my own eyes.
Unless your sister is possessing you. And now you're trying to throw Maya under the bus.
And then I cleaned up the area to protect her.
Objection!
That's ridiculous. Maya couldn't have. The defense will refrain from commenting until the appropriate time. Now then, witness, let's hear your testimony. What exactly happened on the night of the crime?
Yes, Your Honor.
I thought I was prepared for the unexpected. But I never imagined the case would wind up going in this direction. The real murderer.
I went to the inner temple that night, and I saw it all happen in the garden. I saw Mystic Eloise strike Mystic Maya with her staff. While Mystic Maya was still stumbling, Mystic Eloise moved to deliver a fatal strike. Mystic Maya tried desperately to defend herself and stole the weapon. It was only in self-defense. You can't blame her for it.
Interesting. So, it was in self-defense. If that's true, then nobody should be going to jail, right? I mean, except for Iris, because she desecrated the corpse.
Yes, Mystic Eloise was the one who attacked first. That's actually why I tried my best to protect Maya Fey.
You moved the victim's body to the temple so that Maya wouldn't be suspected. Isn't that right? Not bad. You've got the instincts of a true criminal.
What are you doing back there? What are you doing back there, cat? Get there. Get there, kitty.
Something's not quite right. I'm sure it was established yesterday that Iris never went to the inner temple that night. And that person who did go was that woman. Iris even admitted that. Now then, Mr. Wright, please proceed with your cross-examination. This is gonna be weird. She's our client.
Alright.
Well?
Hold it!
I miss Edgeworth's hold it. Hold it! Sister Iris, your testimony has changed a bit from yesterday. You stated yesterday that on the night of the murder, you didn't go to the inner temple.
Objection!
Did she now? Too bad for you that she said yesterday what she said yesterday doesn't seem to matter much today. By the way, where were you when she claimed that she didn't go? It was in the Inner Temple's training hall. A private conversation between the two of you doesn't constitute as testimony. That would be properly described as heresy. What do you have to say, witness?
I just couldn't tell him the truth at the time. Mystic Maya, she's your girlfriend, isn't she?
Shit, fuck.
I didn't want to be the one to break it to you that I saw her commit murder.
There. We all understand how difficult this is for you. Now then, let's continue with the testimony. What did you witness in the temple garden?
Well, Your Honor, Phoenix didn't correct her.
Interesting.
I saw Mystic Eloise strike. You're saying that the victim attacked Maya? I mean, Miss Faye? Yes, I was truly frightened. Mystic Maya was struck hard on the head, and it looked like she was going to collapse.
What were you doing at the time?
Why didn't you stop them from fighting? I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Wright. I was frightened. I couldn't move. I couldn't even speak. I was such in shock.
That's perfectly understandable, my dear.
This doesn't sound right. I don't believe this testimony for a minute.
What happened after that?
Alright. She moved in to deliver a fatal strike. Yes, I'm sure of it. She threw down her staff and reached into her robes for a weapon.
Wait a minute.
What was this weapon? It was some kind of dagger.
That's not true. She had a dagger inside of her cane.
A dagger, huh? And Eloise Diaxum tried to stab her with this weapon? To kill Miss Faye? What happened that night? Yes, exactly. I'm so confused. You looked like I did after I mistakenly took a swig of Worcestershire sauce.
Worcester sauce, that's what it is.
Do you have a problem with the testimony we're hearing from your client, lawyer boy?
Do I have a problem with Iris's testimony? Yeah. Your Honor? I have a small problem with the witness's testimony. You do? But this witness is your own client.
Yeah, well, nevertheless, that's fine. Witness, let's add your last statement to your testimony. Yes, sir.
Why do I feel like that was a trap? Hey, just wait a moment. It's my job to say that.
Listen, Gramps. I won't say it again. Final judgment will be rendered by me.
No!
Okay, now let's continue.
That ain't true, bitch.
She already had it on her.
Objection!
Sister Iris, there's something strange about your version of events. Huh? Miss Diaxum throwing her staff away makes no sense at all. But all you can do with the staff is hit someone.
Naturally, you wouldn't know this, Sister Iris, but
the victim's staff had a special feature about it. As you can see, it's a sword. If Eloise Diaxum had really had wanted to kill Maya Faye, she wouldn't have needed to use a separate dagger. Not when she already had a beautiful blade in her hands already. Phoenix, why are you referring to the murder weapon as beautiful? Well, Sister Iris, what do you have to say?
Objection!
That was an impressive bit of investigating, Wright. I never would have thought there was a sword hidden in that staff. But even so, how should I put this? A long sword is unwieldy, and thus quite ineffective in a close quarters combat. Maybe that's why she chose a dagger over her blade. Well... Anyway, the type of weapon she chose to use isn't what's important. The important thing is that she tried to kill Maya Fey. As long as there's nothing strange about that, there's no problem with her testimony. Ya jerk! But there is something strange about this whole testimony.
Well, Mr. Wright, the prosecution has a point. Very well, Your Honor. The defense will now present evidence to back its argument.
Mr. Wright?
I have another piece of evidence that shows that this testimony can't be trusted. Because Eloise D'Axum would never attempt to take the life of Maya Fey.
Because she's Maya's mama.
Take that!
Eloise D'Axum would never have attacked Maya Fey.
How can you be so sure?
Because the victim's real name was not Eloise D'Axum. Her name was Misty Fey.
Oh, Phoenix, you just opened the can.
Fey?
No! Not Misty Fey!
Who is Misty Fey? Is she related to... Misty Fey is the master of the Korean channeling technique. She is also the mother of Maya Fey. Are you serious?
Is it really true, Mr. Wright? Was Eloise D'Axum actually Great Mystic Mixty?
There's no doubt about it. It looks like Iris had no idea.
I can hardly believe it.
The idea that she would try to kill her own daughter when she hadn't seen in 17 years. Perhaps the prosecution can offer some explanation for why she would do such a thing. Wow, we got him already. Order in the court! Upon first hearing the witness's testimony, it seemed natural enough. However, in light of some facts that have just been presented, I don't know what that was. Sweet, merciful water. The victim supposedly threw away the sword during the fight. And as well, that the two people battling to the death were mother and daughter. Despite the facts being believable when taken on their own, when taken together, the entire story seems difficult to believe. Listen, there is nothing in this world that is impossible. Except for one little thing. Yes? What is the one little impossible thing?
You still don't get it.
You think maybe my beans are under-roasted, but you have no idea, Gramps.
Could you get to your point?
I heard this witness's confession this morning. just as I had taken the first sip of my 8th cup of morning coffee. You're going to ruin your health, my friend. Kyle is like that, too. Anyway, after hearing this woman's confession, I had a detective who loves to investigate sent to the scene of the crime. I thought it meant that he investigates scents, as in smells and aromas. I don't know where my head was there. I was like, who loves to investigate scents, specifically floral scents. He likes daisies. And he discovered this little beauty. Is that the dagger the witness testified about seeing? Obviously, Your Honor. That doesn't prove it was used by Mystic Misty. But do you not notice something? Now that you mention it. If you look closely, there is blood on it. Where did you find that? I didn't see that when I investigated the crime scene. There is blood on it. Did you investigate the pine tree at the crime scene? Huh? Pine tree? This dagger was stuck in the back of the pine tree. When the first blow was struck, ending the violent battle between the two women, this little baby was thrown in the direction of the pine tree. How did Maya kill her then? Which means the blood on this dagger belongs to the victim, correct? Were you even listening to me, old man? It's only on the tip! That couldn't have killed somebody. I first heard this confession this morning, as I had just taken first sip of my 13th cup of coffee. Didn't you just say your 8th a few minutes ago? I didn't have enough time to get the blood analyzed on such short notice. In any case, the court will accept the dagger into evidence. Whose blood is it? Furthermore, I order that a blood test be performed on it immediately. This is my sweetheart. Make sure you treat her right. Bailiff, get this piece of evidence to the crime lab for testing immediately. The dagger added to the court record. Dagger found behind the tree in the Inner Temple garden. The blood is being analyzed now. That's not enough blood to have killed somebody. Okay, let me change my statement there. It could have been used to kill somebody if you cut them in the right place, but if you're stabbing somebody, that's not enough. Presented, she was either stabbed in the chest, the stomach, like the gut, or the back. And either way, that just wouldn't have been deep enough. Now then. The testimony we've just heard had numerous unbelievable aspects to it. However, after having found the very dagger that was spoken of, I believe we can consider this testimony as credible. Cute girls never lie. Ever. What about Dahlia, dumbass? In any case, witness, if you could, please testify again to this court.
About what, Your Honor?
About the incident you saw. The battle between the two women.
Yes, Your Honor. Man, I can't believe any of this happened. Mystic Maya stumbled briefly after being hit over the head with the staff. But when she dodged Mystic Eloise's next attack and stole her weapon, suddenly Mystic Eloise was the one on the defensive, with her backs to the stolen lantern.
I don't know if this is in-game, buddy. What you missed is that frickin' Iris is trying to put the blame on Maya, but she's also claiming it was self-defense, and she's not mentioning that Maya might have been possessed by her sister.
Red. That's when Mystic Maya stabbed Mystic Eloise. Mystic Eloise managed to fling the knife away, but then she collapsed.
That little amount of blood isn't enough to make somebody collapse. That means that they just barely poked the knife in. I hate to make this joke, but it's literally just the tip. That was a very heartbreaking story.
I don't know if there were any bad feelings between them, but it had been 17 years since Mystic Misty's disappearance. Perhaps they simply didn't recognize each other anymore.
They don't have a motive, though. Neither had a motive. That seems reasonable. Now then, Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination. The battle. Alright. So... She dodged out of the way. Before we continue, let's look through our evidence, because usually around here you gotta present shit. Nagatama. Nope. I don't think this matters yet. Gravy. Picture of Elo- oh. Not the one I was looking for. Why is that castle there? It's a flying castle of no explanation. Oh, shit. What's this? Time. Alright, alright. No information, no new information. What happened when the victim... to the victim's staff, then?
I'm not sure.
But the victim's staff ended up next to the statue.
The area was dark, so I really couldn't see. I think it got knocked away somewhere, and the fight escalated.
That makes sense. That would explain the need for the dagger. Yeah, but why did she bring a dagger if she didn't think she'd need it?
Mystic Eloise raised the dagger to strike. But Mystic Maya dodged it at the last second. The dagger struck the lantern and fell to the ground. And then, at some point, Mystic Maya picked it up.
Nothing sounds especially strange yet. What did the victim do when her weapon was stolen from her? She went on the defensive. You're saying that Maya Fey turned the tables on the victim?
Yes.
But Mystic Maya knew herself at the time, wasn't herself at the time.
After all, her life was in danger.
I still can't believe it. The idea of Maya cornering someone at knife point, it's just silly.
As they say, a cornered fox is more dangerous than a jackal. I believe the correct description of a cornered fox is scared and petrified. Your animal analogies have grown tiresome. You were the one who started it. Sorry, I got this sour juice. And it's not actually juice. It's just sour liquid. It's like Warhead juice. And I love it. I love me the sour.
Alright, anyway, shut the fuck up now. So after Maya Fey backed the victim into the stone lantern, what fucking happened?
That's when Mystic Maya stabbed Eloise. But that contradicts the autopsy. Yeah, she was stabbed in the back.
Objection!
Something about you just isn't right today, Iris. Yeah, that was another theory I had. I think she may have been... Oh, Maya is still trapped in the thing, to our knowledge. Although, in a very sweet moment, we found out that the person there trying to get her out is actually Von Karma. Von Karma stayed there and has currently been up all night unlocking the locks. But one of my theories is that Dahlia is currently possessing Iris. Huh? Until now, I didn't think you were the type to make a careless mistake. However, the testimony you just gave contains quite a few contradictions. But what do you mean? What's wrong about my testimony? According to you, Maya Fey stabbed the victim while she had her back to the stone lantern, correct? Yes, that's right. But in that case, the victim could have been stabbed in the stomach, right?
Yes, I think so.
But according to the autopsy report, the cause of death was due to blood loss from a stab wound in her back. This proves that the victim was stabbed from behind, not from the front. Sister Iris, it appears another seed of doubt has sprouted from your testimony.
What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright?
It's simple. People are like books. We've all got a front and a back. You get my drift?
Is that all you had to say?
I can also say that darkness loves to play with human mind.
Objection!
Could you please knock it off with your cheesy proverbs and the illogical metaphors already? The point is, too much of this testimony just doesn't make sense. Throwing away a useful staff, the people fighting are being mother and daughter, and now falsely claims that the victim was stabbed in the stomach?
These are certainly inconsistencies.
Well, Iris, how about it? Well, it's just... If you ask me, you're being too naive about the whole thing. What do you mean? There are 253 distinct types of bitterness in coffee. But to pick out each one requires a total concentration and use of all the senses. Were you really concentrating on what this witness actually said?
Prosecutor Godot, explain yourself.
The witness was quite ambiguous about her own ambiguities when she said that the garden was dark and she couldn't see clearly. A human needs one thing to see clearly, and that is light. But wait, if she didn't have her back against the thing, how did she write Maya's name?
Light.
By the way, did you know Hazakura has a rule that on nights when an acolyte is in the inner temple training, the stone lantern in the garden must be kept lit. What? That's an inconsistency too. That means it wasn't dark. I did wonder what that stone lantern was there for.
Well, if that's true, shouldn't the witness have been able to see the crime more clearly?
Normally, yes, Your Honor. But according to the head nun, Sister Bikini, on the night of the crime, it was impossible to light the stone lantern.
Impossible?
It hadn't been used in a while. In a long time, and the wick was no good. In other words, it had to have been nearly pitch black in the garden that night. There could have been a faint light coming from the training hall, but that's all.
Most enlightening.
Yes, the illuminating fact has chased all of the contradictions away. If the staff was dropped, it would be difficult to see. It explains why they didn't recognize each other. We can't see the demons that lurk in the night. That's why humans are so weak. Isn't that right, Trite? No!
Godot is going for it. Order!
Here you are, Your Honor. Let me present the evidence of the stone lantern into... present the stone lantern into evidence. Maybe it will rekindle the flame of truth in your mind.
A lantern from the inner temple garden was not lit on the night of the crime.
Why is the judge just sitting there with that face? What's wrong, Your Honor? Was that flame too hot?
This lantern, there's something written on it.
Oh, fuck, he can't see red. I always forget that. Everything in his vision is red, so he can't see red.
What? Why? It's written in blood.
Oh, boy. So the judge didn't know about that yet. Written? In blood?
It says Maya upside down.
What the? Oh, yes, that's right. After being cornered, then stabbed by Mystic Maya, Mystic Eloise didn't fall down right away. She must have been writing that on the stone lantern behind her, with the blood that was draining out of her body.
But you would have had to dip your fingers in repeatedly. It certainly looks that way.
Objection!
Hang on. Hang on just 1 minute. What are you all talking about?
What do you mean, what are we talking about? We're talking about the message written in blood.
Nonsense. This lantern, it's clean as a whistle. Could it be? He can't see the blood writing at all? Now that I think of it, didn't he say something to me yesterday? My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with this huge goggles on my head, I can't see everything. So that's what he meant by that.
In any case, this is obviously an important clue. We know now. We now know what the crime scene was dark. That it was dark. And the victim scrawled this message on the stone lantern. Well, Mr. Godot, anything further?
Yeah.
Mr. Godot!
Shit. Okay then, let's move on.
Godot is literally shaking. And somehow I don't think it's a caffeine overdose. Why is he freaking out this much? I believe it has now been established that Misty Axum was killed by Maya Fey.
That's just wrong. Now it's time to turn our attention to you. Yes, sir. After the victim died, you did something, didn't you? Let's hear it. We're all ears.
Sister Iris's cover-up.
After Mystic Eloise died, I came out to Mystic Maya. I thought it was my duty to protect the future master of the Karain tradition. So I removed the body from the inner temple by myself. I dragged it behind me, all the way across Dusky Bridge.
Wouldn't there be a blood trail?
Then I used the snowmobile to carry it back to Hazakura Temple, and... I used the Shishido.
The Shishido.
Shishido. To alter the way the wound had looked.
So you moved the body?
Yes, I was raised at Hazakura Temple. I owe a great deal of thanks to the Fae Clan. But even so, I had never imagined that Eloise de Axum was actually Misty Fae. I've committed a terrible sin.
A terrible trick of fate. I believe you're looking for twist of fate, Your Honor. Well, actually, it is possible to, like, drink too much coffee to an unfortunate degree. Like, to an unhealthy degree. But, if he was gonna overdose on it, he would have done that by now.
I intended to return to the inner temple after taking care of the body, but...
You were stopped.
You were stopped by the head nun, correct? Yes, and that's why I couldn't go back.
I have a theory. I think Godot made a deal with Iris. I think something, like, happened and Godot might know that Dahlia is involved. So he, like, made a deal with Iris, like, hey, confess to this, we'll say that Maya did do it, but we'll say that it was, self-defense, and Maya will get off, too. Like, I think he made a deal where it's like, everyone gets off, but you had to confess. Your story makes sense, I suppose. I don't know, I just think he was shaking too much. Mr. Wright, go ahead with your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sister Iris's cover-up. Let's see. After Mr. Eloise died, I thought it was my duty to protect the future master of the grand tradition. So I removed the body from the inner temple myself.
Hold it!
Why did you do that? Because I didn't want Mystic Maya to be suspected in any way. I thought the best thing to do would be to remove the body from the crime scene.
You moved her body by yourself?
Yes. I wouldn't have been... It would have been impossible if it wasn't for the snow. The snow, huh? I dragged it behind me all the way. There would have been a blood trail. It's pretty amazing that you could make it all the way across that rickety old bridge. It looks worse than it is. It's surprisingly sturdy despite its age. It's like they say, idiots are too stupid to catch even a simple cold. But there's one other thing that bothers me. Why not just throw the body into the Eagle River? It would have been much easier than dragging it all the way to Hazakura Temple. I thought it would still cast too much suspicion on Mystic Maya. That's why I tried to take the body as far as I could possible. Ha! Makes perfect sense to me. For the time being. Anyway, what did you do after you crossed the bridge? I then used the snowmobile to carry it back to Hazakura Temple.
Hold it!
The snowmobile? I never knew that would show up sooner or later. Oh, I knew that would show up sooner or later. Yes, I had the key. I used the snowmobile to travel from Hazakura Temple to Dusky Bridge. This is the part that was in question the other day. Should I ask for more details?
Yeah. The other day, well, when we were Edgeworth, we were talking about the tracks.
If you really did move her body by snowmobile, then there should be tracks left in the snow, right?
Well, yes, naturally, you would expect tracks.
This picture was presented at yesterday's trial. Are these the tracks from that ride? Yes. I think they are. But I can only see one set of tracks here. I don't see what's so strange about that. Snow was still falling when I left Hazakura Temple.
I see.
Snow was still falling, huh? And then, when the murder took place, it had already stopped. That's why there are fresh-looking tracks.
How about it, Mr. Wright? What do you think about this testimony? It's, I don't know. Does it contradict anything? Oh, yeah, I think it contradicts this.
Yeah, it's important. When the murder took place, the snow had already stopped? That doesn't make sense if you stack it up to everything else. Your Honor? I'd like that statement Iris just made added to the testimony.
But does it have something to do with the case?
All will be clear if you allow her statement to be added to the court record. Ah, this should be fun. We're arguing against our own client. You. Let's get this snow business cleared up, shall we? Yes, sir. All right. Objection!
The music is still going.
Your Honor, that statement contradicts this evidence.
Does it? I don't see how. Oh, we've screwed up. Objection denied. Try to think before you make accusations, right? I guess I got it wrong. Alright.
I was sure it was the weather data. I don't... I used the... Oh, wait. What? Where are the statements? Oh, did I press it on the wrong statement? Did it, like, go to a different statement and then I accidentally pressed it on the wrong one? Oh, shit. I don't know which statement it was. Uh-oh. Well... Let's just look through and do it on one that makes sense. It doesn't make sense here. Doesn't make sense here. No. So, it could be this, right? There it goes. You claim that the snow had already stopped when the murder occurred? But I'm sorry, Iris, that's just not possible. What? This is the weather data from the night of the murder. According to this, the snow didn't stop until 10:50 p.m. But you couldn't have crossed Dusky Bridge at that time. But why do you say that? Because 5 minutes before the snow stopped, the lightning struck. That lightning had caught the bridge on fire. But what did you say? The bridge was on fire?
You don't mean to say you didn't know about it? It was because of that lightning strike that the bridge burned down.
What? But it can't be. It can't be. It looks like you still haven't figured it out. No matter how hard you try to deceive or conceal the truth, you can't pull the wool over the eyes of a real defense attorney.
What the hell is going on?
Is this secretly Dahlia?
Order! Order, order, order.
The bridge was already on fire when the incident took place.
I don't think it's Dahlia. I think it makes more sense that it's Godot. I think Godot made a deal.
There's no way you could have crossed the bridge, body or no body.
Witness. Even my patience has its limits. Any further lying, and I will hold you in contempt of court. What do you think, Bizarro? You're my partner in all this. Do you have anything to say for yourself?
Objection!
The only person here that is truly contemptible is you. Old man.
Dude, I'ma kick your ass. Here I was trying to kill the defense lawyer. Perhaps my sight should have been on you, bitch.
Whether the witness lied or not doesn't mean squat right now. Yes, it does!
Squat?
The important thing now is to find out the truth. Isn't that right?
Yes, of course, but...
Whether it was snowing or not snowing, or whether the bridge was burning or not, there are two facts that can't be disputed. First, the body of Eloise Diaxum was discovered in the Hazakura Temple courtyard. And second, the head nun Sister Bikini witnessed Iris desecrating Eloise Diaxum's body. He makes a good point on both accounts. I'm not lying.
What are you claiming this time?
I wasn't myself at all that night. So my memory is still somewhat hazy.
Objection!
You have stood at the witness stand and testified this entire time. Are you telling us now that your memory of the night is hazy?
Objection!
It is only human to err. If you're so perfect, Wright, maybe you can explain to this court. What is it? When the murder happened, the bridge had already burnt down. But somehow the body traveled across the bridge and was found in the temple courtyard. Perhaps you have some kind of perfect explanation for this little magic trick. Well, not exactly. I know there must be some other way she got across the burned out bridge. But unless I can somehow demonstrate it, well, we'll never know the truth.
It looks like the defense is not prepared to offer a suitable explanation.
You see what I mean? In other words, you are in no position to suggest that this lady's testimony isn't the truth.
All right then, witness. Let's hear your testimony once more.
About what, Your Honor?
You have admitted that you moved the victim's body. Nevertheless, your prior testimony contained a rather large amount of inconsistencies. Please add an explanation for that to your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. Will this be our final testimony?
moving the body.
Other than walking over the bridge, there's no way to move the body. So I must have just gotten confused, I guess.
What?
Was the snow still falling or had it stopped? Does it really matter that much? Or are you saying that there is a way to cross a burning bridge?
Okay. So it was just a misunderstanding? Alright. This photo of Dusky Bridge after it burned down from the lightning blast. This is a photo of it. It was taken the morning after the incident. It certainly was burned to a crisp, and of the suspension wires, even one of the suspension wires even snapped. It's amazing that the whole bridge didn't fall. Clearly, it would be impossible to carry a corpse across the bridge in this condition. Sorry, my cat, like, bit my finger and held my finger in her mouth while I was reading that, so I was just like, what? I was like, why am I touching a cat tongue? Dusky Bridge photo added to the court record. Dusky Bridge photo taken the morning of the crime. Unless I do something to discredit this testimony, it's going to be deemed the truth. And Maya will be accused of the murder. Tried, I'm only gonna say this one more time. Huh? It is only human to error. And only humans can spot the errors of our ways. The more sense he makes, the less sense he makes. Well? Alright, Mr. Wright. Please begin your final cross-examination. Well, there is one way they could have gotten a body across the bridge. And it's the only thing I can think to do. Here we go, baby.
Objection!
Hey, it worked! I'm going to save because I feel like I might get hurt if I don't. There we go. So you say there's no way to get a body across a burning bridge. I wouldn't exactly rule out the possibility. What? You're saying it's possible? Don't make me laugh. The only thing that's possible about your claim is that it's been pulled out of thin air. I don't know about that. In any case, we have a witness who did see it happen. Who is this witness? I can't chicken out here. I've got to keep on the attack and go, go, go. Miss Eloise Diaxum's brilliant and highly gifted apprentice. Larice Diaxum. Brilliant? Highly gifted apprentice? Remember what he said in his testimony. That night he was at the Mountain Shack, Heavenly Hall. And that's when he witnessed the event. I think you've all seen this sketch before.
It's an exact drawing of what he witnessed that night.
Are you serious? Today's not April Fool's Day, is it? Mr. Wright, are you seriously claiming that the victim flew through the air? And you're using this pathetic scribble to support your argument?
Uh-oh. The judge looks like he's about to blow a gasket. Well, Trite, there's nowhere for you to hide now. Other than looking like it was drawn by a 6-year-old. Guys, it looks pretty good. Drawn by a 6-year-old. How does this sketch prove anything?
See you later, Bizarro. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. And I'm going to prove it. Listen, I know your tricks. You're trying to turn this whole thing upside down. Huh? If you're so eager to turn this case upside down, why not start with this sketch? Upside down? Why did Godot say it like that?
All right, then. Let's hear the defense's theory.
Wait a minute. He doesn't mean... Oh my god. He's right. The drawing. It's upside down.
What exactly is this sketch trying to show?
I don't think old Whiskerface is going to forgive me any more mistakes. Alright, Phoenix. Look carefully and think it over. This sketch drawn by Laurice Maxim is... a complete contradiction. Right? Right? Something is obviously funny about this sketch.
I'm no art critic, but even I can see that.
No, not what I mean, Your Honor. Laurice Maxim stated it over and over. That this sketch is exactly what he saw. However, if we're to believe this testimony, then the sketch contradicts reality as we know it.
Okay, yeah?
It contradicts reality? This is getting interesting. Looks like you're back to finger-pointing thing again. Okay, Trite. So how exactly does it contradict reality? Well, this.
Take that!
It's this wire connected to the bridge.
The wire?
Ah. Is that the thing that contradicts reality? It is indeed. Then show us the reality it supposedly conflicts with. Show us something that will point out the contradiction of this sketch.
It's the picture. You're the one who told me about this, Godot.
Take that!
That photo at the bridge, correct?
Yes, now compare the sketch and the photo for a minute. In the sketch, the wires appear to be above the guard wires. But on the actual Dusky Bridge,
Jumping Jehoshaphat!
the wires are below the guard wires. Godot, you're the one who gave us this hint.
Order, order! He's playing it up. He's in on this. This sketch is somewhat different than what's depicted in the photo. However, isn't it likely that the artist just saw it wrong?
Or perhaps he drew it wrong. Either way, it sounds like you're just wrong.
For someone like Larice, I admit a mistake is a definite possibility. But then, that begs the question. Why did he make a mistake? What was the reason?
Are you saying you know the reason to that? The answer to that?
Listen, think back, alright? Remember what Larice was doing when he witnessed this event? He was at Heavenly Hall, waiting for a lover that was never going to come. He waited and waited, and finally he laid down. But then, lightning shots from the sky, and lightning shot from the sky and set the bridge aflame! Now ponder, what sort of position Larice must have been in at that time? He was laying on his back, which is why he remembered the scene the way he does. He was lying on his back. I can't see how it relates. But it does, Your Honor. That is the reason why the wires in the sketch go up instead of down. Ugh, no way. Larice the Axum witnessed the event while he was lying on his back, face up. In other words, the scene that he saw was actually upside down. So then, this sketch should actually be... I think you finally get it, Your Honor. The correct way to view Larice the Axum's sketch is like this. She was falling. This is how it should actually look. The victim's body wasn't flying above the bridge. It was actually swinging below. That's right, like a pendulum.
Objection!
Order! All of these things you say, a pendulum? The bridge was burning to a crisp. There was no other way to get it across. But if the body had been found at the inner temple, it would have caused problems. This is where the criminal decided to take a gamble. They used the burning bridge to get the body across to the other side. And a pendulum was the only way to get it done.
Objection!
I think it's about... Let's think about this for a minute, shall we? Dusky Bridge is about 20 yards long. Which means it's about that far from the inner temple to the opposite cliff. Yes, that sounds about right. In order to cover the distance with that pendulum, you need a rope that's 10 yards long. To get a rope that long, you have to plan ahead. There's a rope right there.
Objection!
The lightning strike that night can only have been an accident. So it doesn't make sense for the culprit to have had prepared a rope beforehand. So then, they didn't have to get the rope ready. The rope was already right in front of them. What? I'm saying that it was just a matter of using what was already there. In that case, Mr. Wright, Please give us an explanation to support your theory. What makes you think the criminal had a rope?
This.
Take that!
And the meaning of this is?
If you want to know where the rope came from, it's hanging right there in front of your glorious beard.
My beard is glorious. Ah! This is one of the wires from the bridge.
When the lightning struck the bridge and set it on fire, one of the suspension wires came loose from its anchor. The criminal didn't have any time to waste, so they tied the wire around Eloise Diaxum's body. Whoa. Because there was simply no other way to move it.
Mr. Cadeau.
His Adam's apple.
It seems that Mr. Cadeau is more focused on his coffee than answering my question. It seems the odds of the rope are being readily available were very high. I suppose that it's not an impossibility after all.
Possible or impossible? That's not the question we need to ask. There is only one answer. Did that really happen? Try it. I wonder if you can prove what happened to us. Do you have any actual evidence that the body was swung all over like a pendulum? Didn't it say she fell like 20 feet and was covered in bruises? I guess it doesn't say it here. Oh, would that be in her autopsy? Body fell 10... Yeah, this.
Take that!
Before I present my evidence, let me review what we know so far. According to this photo, one of the wires had snapped. Looking at the map, we can see that it's the one that was in front of the inner temple.
And then, that was the spot where the criminal...
Precisely. Now let us consider the body movement by looking at the overhead map again. If the body was pushed from this point, it would have dropped on the opposite bank at approximately this point.
Did you say drop?
Well, they must have failed to catch the body on the other bank road. On the other bank. What makes you think something like that happened? Because I have evidence that suggests her body drops in distance. What kind of evidence? Take a look at this autopsy report. It says here that her body fell about 10 feet after her death.
10 feet, huh?
That's most likely the height difference between the two sides. The body overswung due to forward momentum, but then came loose and fell about 10 feet. And then, as a result of landing impact, this crystal sphere was knocked loose. That's the bloodstained amethyst crystal. The one that Eloise Diaxum's staff came off of. And even more important is the place where this crystal sphere was found.
Indeed. I believe it was already marked on the overhead map.
The crystal was found... Precisely, Your Honor. In the very spot where the pendulum would arrive, if given the right amount of speed.
This explains your theory, Mr. Wright, quite well. You have provided... What? You have provided us with a way the body could have been moved that night. I just heard a noise. An impressive deduction, Mr. Wright. Most impressive. Ah, my face! Mr. Wright! That was the noise.
I thought this cold coffee might help you cool down.
What is the meaning of this, Mr. Godot?
That was a dark and bitter guess that you made, Wright. But you forget one thing.
What? And what would that be?
The aroma. Yeah, that says aroma. Huh? A coffee's most reliable accomplice is its deep and profound aroma. The rest of the court doesn't speak Coffinese. Can you elaborate a bit more? If the criminal had sent the body on the other side like that, just like you say they did, then naturally there must have been an accomplice lying in wait to catch it.
An accomplice?
The criminal wasn't able to cross Dusky Bridge. So who collected the body? What do you have to say about that, Trite?
It had to be Iris, right? Mr. Godot is correct. This can't be the work of a single person. Well, Mr. Wright, you know what you must do.
Yes, Your Honor. The body couldn't have made it to Hazakura Temple without an accomplice.
Very well then, if you please, Mr. Wright. Who was the person that received the body on the other side of Hazakura Temple?
I think it has to be Iris.
Take that!
It can only be you, Sister Iris. Huh? Ah! But I don't see why you're so surprised. The only way to transport the body from Dusky Bridge is a snowmobile. But with her bad back, Sister Bikini could never pick up a body like that. So you're the only one that could have managed.
Objection!
Were you even listening to the witness's testimony? On the night of the crime, this little cutie pie was on cleanup duty in the inner temple garden after the mother-daughter bloodbath.
Objection!
I haven't forgotten, but have you, Mr. Godot? The witness was also seen at Hazakura Temple, desecrating the corpse of the victim.
Strange indeed. It's almost as if, on that night, the defendant was in two different places at the same time.
Sister Iris, let me ask you something. Why didn't you mention it when you first gave your testimony? Dahlia. Mention what? The pendulum, of course. Using the sketch drawn by an eyewitness, I have established how the body was moved using the burnt bridge. Which means it's now a fact that this occurred. Something you should have already known. No, I had no idea. I didn't know anything about a pendulum. But the body couldn't have been passed along to another side without your help. So, you should have known about it. In fact, it's impossible for you to be clueless about this whole thing. Unless you're not really Iris to begin with. What? How can you say that, Mr. Wright? I guess she is being possessed.
What kind of nonsense is that? Are you saying the witness isn't Iris of Hazakura Temple?
Objection!
Are you serious? Try it! You mean this woman is?
There's no one besides Iris that could have received the corpse that night. Now I get it. Now I know why I've been sick to my stomach this whole trial. Why her whole demeanor changed so suddenly from yesterday. And why she's trying to pin this murder on Maya. But she was also claiming it was self-defense. This woman standing there at the witness stand. Her real name is... Here we go!
Take that!
I never thought I'd have to utter your name again. Let alone see you. It's been a long time, Dahlia Hawthorne. Hawthorne. Sister Iris had a twin sister. And you're looking at her. Miss Dahlia Hawthorne. That name rings some bells. Distant bells, but bells nonetheless. It's just your imagination, Gramps. This file contains all the relevant data about Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh yes, I remember now. That case 5 years ago.
My name is Dahlia Hawthorne. I just want to say, it's an honor for me to be in your noble presence.
The honor is all mine. And now I got my hair penis back. Y'all get to see a cameo by my hair penis. Alright, I'm out. Peace, bitches.
No! The honor is all mine. But according to this, she dead. Dahlia Hawthorne is already dead. Says her execution was carried out last month. And it was. So what? Death has no meaning in this courtroom. Godot's on our side? What? Order!
What? Wait a moment. How can you? My sister, she's already dead. What kind of...
Objection!
You of all people should already understand, after all. The blood of the of the master of the Kylor channeling technique flows within that body. The Kylor channeling technique? Now where have I heard that? That's right. You're not Dahlia Hawthorne herself. You're the spirit of Dahlia Hawthorne, currently inhabiting the body of a spirit medium. So she was lying about not having the gift. This is an exciting story. Exciting, but quite impossible. You're asking us to buy that Dahlia Hawthorne just happened to be channeled by someone. On the very night of the murder, to a temple
where her twin sister Iris was?
Well, if you're going to put up things that way, then yes.
Objection!
We're supposed to believe a coincidence like that just happens.
Objection!
Naturally, it was no coincidence. The whole thing was part of a plan from the very beginning. It's all written right here in these instructions. What's that? These instructions were written by your mother, Morgan Fay. And part of the plan called for Dahlia Hawthorne to be channeled. That night, there were 2 irises at Hazakura Temple. 2 of them. Even the time of channeling was planned out. As soon as you hear the lights out bells, in other words, 10 p.m. However, Iris was seen before dinner time. That means that Iris that was at dinner was the real Iris. And the Iris who gave me this hood in the main hall was also the real Iris. Meaning that the Iris that saw Bikini at the temple was someone else dressed as her, namely one Dahlia Hawthorne.
Objection!
Do you even know what you're saying, Wright? This whole channeling the spirit of Dahlia Hawthorne business. Yes, it's true that you found plans to talk about it. However, there's one thing that's perfectly clear. The witness currently standing here is the real Iris. What? Calm down and remember what you know about the night of the crime. After meeting Sister Bikini, the Dahlia Hawthorne that had been channeled would have been stranded at the inner temple due to the lightning strike. It was later that the body was moved by a pendulum. That's right. Naturally, that would mean that that the Iris that had received the body was the real Iris. Are you with me so far? Yes. After being notified of what happened, the police came to the Hazakura Temple's main hall. There, they found Iris in her room and arrested her. And ever since, she's been under police supervision at the detention center. Yes, I suppose. I can't deny any of that. Phew. Thank goodness. It looks like he's finally convinced. But something still seems off. Way off. I'm still not convinced that the Iris here is the same from the other night. Yeah. As I suppose you're about to say something really ridiculous. Like the real Iris and Spirit of Dahlia somehow switched places.
Switched places? To be perfectly honest, there are still quite a few things I don't understand. But I do now. But I do know. Holy shit!
Is this Maya we're talking to right here? Like, is this Maya? Oh my god. Okay, hear me out. So, frickin' Iris ran ahead to the thing, and that's when all the locks appeared. What if at that point, Iris and Maya, well, Maya being possessed by Dahlia, switched places? And now, this whole trial, we've been talking to Maya, who is currently possessed by Dahlia. I have no idea.
That, unless we confirm the witness's identity, we can't continue this trial.
Iris doesn't have the spiritual power needed to channel Dahlia. Which means they must have switched places somewhere. This has to be Maya.
Well, Mr. Wright, since the time she was arrested in Hazakura Temple, had there been any chances for Iris to switch places? Yeah, when she was frickin' in the thing alone. Your Honor?
I think there might have been one chance.
Explain yourself.
Yesterday, for a few minutes, Iris's whereabouts were unknown. Unknown? What do you mean? What I mean is, there was a span of time which Iris was able to move about freely, unsupervised.
Well, who was it? Who would give a murder suspect time to move about freely?
I'm sorry. I know you didn't mean to, but it wasn't your fault. The person who gave Iris the chance, it was Edgeworth. I mean, he really didn't mean to, but it was him.
Take that!
This is Mr. Edgeworth, isn't it?
Your Honor, there was a fairly large earthquake yesterday, was there not?
An earthquake?
Earthquake! I got the sour stuff in my mouth.
Earthquake! Oh my goodness! The inner temple! This kind of tremor might...
How could I have... She fled. She escaped. We went to the inner temple right away. And it's true. Iris was already there. However, they had already switched places at that point in time. When I arrived at the training hall, I was met by none other than Dahlia Hawthorne.
That's quite enough already, Mr. Wright. Now see here. No judge in his right mind would consider the idea of spirit channeling...
Be quiet. Hi, Dahlia. It's been a long time, Mr. Judge.
That voice!
Guess I'll have to ask again. Upon meeting a beautiful lady, always ask for her name and profession. That's one of my rules. Dahlia Hawthorne. And my current profession, permanently retired. Shit. So you're not going to bother hiding your identity anymore, huh? Why should I? After all, I'm already dead. There's really nothing you can do to punish me.
What is going on here?
Dahlia Hawthorne. I never thought we'd meet again.
That's true. We don't have a way to punish her. There's nothing we can do. Ghosts can't go to jail. Can they? Is that hell? Is hell ghost jail? Too many big questions. But this time, I'll end it for her and for myself. Ghosts can go to jail, and I'll be doing it myself. Just call me the Warden. To be continued. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We may be having another episode later tonight, so maybe then we will finish Phoenix Wright, Trials and Tribulations. With that, ladies and gents, thank you for being in my jury, and ciao.